Good evening, everyone. My name is Charlene Margot. I'm co-founder of nonprofit The Parent Venture that brings you this program, the Parent Education Series, now in its 19th year. We are delighted to have with us tonight Amy D. Love, who's going to be talking to you about the spark of tomorrow, parenting in the age of AI. It feels like, 1 minute we were talking about it, and now we're in the middle of the AI era. So I think tonight's talk is very timely, and we're really lucky to have Amy with us today. She has some special areas of expertise you'll be hearing about as we go forward. Please join me in a warm welcome for Amy D. Love. Take it away, Amy.
Thank you so much, Charlene and Bev. It is a true honor to be participating today and having the opportunity to speak with your amazing community focused on parenting and opportunities to help our young children be vibrant and successful in the world as they define it. For tonight, I want to share that this isn't really about keeping up with technology, the talk we have today. It's about helping our kids develop the skills, and please note, I didn't say knowledge, to thrive in the age of AI. This question isn't whether the question really isn't whether or not AI will shape their future. It's whether they will engage with it passively or use it with confidence and purpose. So my hope for you today in this session is you're going to receive some practical strategies and real-world examples to help guide your child's AI journey. No technical expertise required. By the end, I hope you will feel equipped and empowered to take the next step. To get started, I just would like to learn a little bit more about the audience. Can you drop in chat how old your child or children are? And I'll start it off. I've got a now newly minted 12-year-old as of just a couple of weeks ago, but I would love to hear and read in chat a little bit more about people's children. Got Destiny, who is 13, 12, 15, 17, and 20, great, 5 and 14. So we've got quite the age range, and I'm really excited to see that. Because oftentimes I've been asked with the book, Raising Entrepreneurs, Preparing Kids for Success in in the Age of AI, am I too late? Can we still instill a sense of entrepreneurship? And there is no right or wrong age to instill the mindset and the capabilities around entrepreneurship. And so I welcome all of you all here. One other question I would like to just ask is, now that we know a little bit about this, before we dive in, what excites you about your child's future, and what concerns you about your child's future? Just drop a word or a phrase in chat just so we can kind of all get on a similar page. What are things that excite you about your child's future and any concerns you might have? Oh, no jobs, internal motivation, limitless possibilities can be overwhelming. The risk of using LLMs, reducing critical thinking, automation, replacing jobs, access to information. Great ideas, great questions, great concerns, and great upsides. When we talk about the session today, we're really going to dive into the importance around this concept of intentional parenting, around values, and around this entrepreneurial mindset that's going to really help address both the things that you're excited about and the things you might be a bit concerned about. So let's take a look at what this means for our kids. We've probably all felt it. I know certainly I will say I have, that I've worried about whether or not we're doing enough to prepare our kids for the future. We're not alone with that, and really applaud you for being on this webinar today to talk about it. Research has shown that 85% of parents do feel anxious about guiding their children's tech development. It makes perfect sense, so don't feel you're alone or a minority in this concern, with 85% feeling that way. Why? AI is evolving so rapidly, and there's no roadmap for how to raise a kid in a world shaped by technology that is changing this fast. The skills we all needed growing up aren't necessarily the ones that our kids will need in their careers. So here's the thing. This isn't about fearing the future. It's about understanding what's coming and preparing our kids to navigate it with confidence. If you're in that 85%, my goal today is that by the end of this session, you will feel equipped with real strategies to embrace what's ahead. So I want to go ahead and just take a step back and help you, all of us, get a sense for why and how this environment around AI is rapidly changing. The world our kids are growing up in looks very different than what we entered. And so let's take a look back at that. Technology is absolutely evolving faster and faster. These shifts aren't just happening in isolating industries. They're transforming how we live, work, and learn. I'm not going to go through all the details on this slide, but safe to know that if you just think about it, since we just finished with the Super Bowl, in 1984 was the iconic milestone for marketers and for the personal computing age, when Apple famously ran and launched their ad just once on the Super Bowl for the Macintosh. And from that moment of personal computing, you've got to go 12 years before we have the birth of Google. AI has a concept. It's been around for decades. But it wasn't until the rise of machine learning and deep learning that things really started to accelerate. You may have heard people talk about AI winters at different times, or you may hear that term. AI has had false starts and false starts, but that's no longer the case. One major turning point really was in 1997. IBM's Deep Blue defeated the world chess champion. That moment showed that AI could outthink humans in structured environments. Yet we still had 14 years until we got to the point where IBM Watson, an AI system, was able to win at Jeopardy. And that was showing that they didn't just interpret language or context. It was a huge shift in its ability to reason and learn. Then, though, we entered a phase where AI stopped being something we only saw in research labs. It became a part of everyday lives. In 2016, Google's DeepMind beat AlphaGo. That game is infinitely more complex than chess, and it was a wake-up call because it showed for the first time that AI wasn't just learning, it was adapting, improving, and making decisions in real time. By the early 2020s, AI-powered voice assistants, recommendation algorithms, self-driving technology, they weren't futuristic anymore. They were the standard. That's early 2020s. Just in 2 years later, no longer 10, 12, 14-year gaps between these major milestones. In 2022, OpenAI released ChatGPT, proving that AI could generate human-like conversations at scale. And AI certainly wasn't any longer about analyzing data. It was creating. And then just 1 year later, ChatGPT 4 could pass the bar exam and score in the 90th percentile of the SAT. It demonstrated reasoning, abilities that rivaled human experts. And we also saw in 2024, again, just 1 year later, the rise to where AI can generate videos that are nearly indistinguishable from reality, raising questions about misinformation, ethics, creativity in the digital age. So our kids today, they will be the first, or the kids born today will be the first generation who will have to ask the question, is the picture, video, or voice real? So as you can see, the rate of change between major moments is absolutely condensing. And parenting in the age of AI requires more than reacting to change. It's about being intentional. The choices we make today are absolutely going to shape the opportunities our children will have tomorrow. So when we think about this, every generation of parent wants to create a better future for their children. That hasn't changed. What has changed is the world our kids are growing up in. And that is that one shaped by AI, automation, and constant digital transformation. This really means that parenting today isn't just about keeping up. It's about being intentional, making thoughtful choices that help our kids both navigate and thrive in an AI-driven world. Intentional parenting isn't about predicting every challenge. It's about preparing kids to adapt, problem solve, take advantage of opportunities as they arise. And I want to reinforce with everyone on this call, the good news is you don't have to be an AI expert to do this. The rate of change is so fast, you're going to be learning side by side with your children. However, what you do need is a mindset that empowers your child to be curious, resilient, and creative. And that's a big part of today's focus. And when I talk about intentional parenting, I think it's important to share that it really is going to come down to deliberate choices, purposeful actions, and long-term thinking. It's about shaping how your child's going to interact with the world, including technology, in a way that aligns with your family values. The key point is that instead of allowing technology to just happen to them, we help them engage with it thoughtfully and strategically. For example, an intentional approach to AI doesn't mean banning devices or fearing new tools. It means asking, how can my child use technology to think, create, and build rather than just consume? The goal isn't to control every experience. Rather, it's to equip our kids to make smart, values-driven decisions in an AI-driven world. So now that we've defined what intentional parenting is, I always like to share this slide because sometimes it can get misinterpreted. Let's talk about what it isn't, because there is a very important distinction to make. It's easy to hear the term intentional parenting and think it means that we have to constantly be doing more structured activities, more oversight, more pressure to optimize every moment. That's not what this is about. Intentional parenting is about thoughtful choices, not constant intervention. It's about equipping our kids to engage with the world, not micromanaging every step they take. It is in contrast, though, to intensification of parenting, and something I see all the time, and something I even have to be conscientious about. It's what can lead to burnout for both parents and kids. It's the pressure to overschedule, overmanage, and overperform in an attempt to guarantee success. And I think as we've all learned through our own life's journey, you can never guarantee success. You can position yourself to be in line for opportunities, but you can never guarantee it. The reality is our kids don't need us to do everything for them. They need space to think, experiment, develop independence, which is a big thing I see. And in the age of AI, that ability to adapt and think for themselves will be more valuable than ever. So I'd like to see some chat engagement again really quickly. What actually excites you and your child about the future of AI? What excites you about it? When you think about AI, what excites you about it? Creation, opportunities to explore new learnings, the chance to ask deeper questions, its memory, learning on a different level. And I even see someone saying, my kiddo resents it, thinks it's going to take entry-level jobs. There is some truth to that, though that's why you're probably on this call. And I hope that when you walk out of this call, this session today, you're going to feel equipped to take that into a different direction. All right. So now that we've defined what intentional parenting is and what it isn't, let's talk about why this matters in today's world. We know AI is shaping the future, though how prepared do parents really actually feel? Well, the data says we're not feeling that prepared, right? But we truly recognize the importance of it. 88% of parents believe AI knowledge is essential for their kids' success. 81% are convinced AI is going to be part of their, 81% aren't convinced AI is part of their children's school curriculum, which is important to note. And 89% say that the next generation must play an active role in shaping AI's development. I can certainly speak to that because there are issues with AI. There is bias. There is who is creating the models. I can't tell you how many times I have inputted information into AI, and AI seems to think that what I'm asking about would be something a boy would do rather than what a girl would do. Or when I ask for diversity and I look at what the symbols are that come back. And this is why the generation needs to play an active role to ensure that all voices and individuals are represented. So while these numbers highlight the gap we need to address, parents recognize the importance of AI, yet they're unsure how their kids are actually going to be learning about it. And this brings us really to a critical realization. If we want our kids to be ready for the future, we can't rely solely on schools. As parents, we play a key role in preparing them. So, as we think about this, I'd like to know, how is your child currently using AI? If you wouldn't mind, Charlene, we're going to put up that first poll and ask people to take the poll. How is your child currently using AI? And you can select all that you like. We have some kids that aren't using AI at all right now. All righty, we've got a pretty evenly split approach. The number one answer, if I pause it right now, is that 40% are not using it. About 40% are using it for homework. About 38% are using it to learn and solve problems. A smaller percentage are using it to create new or improving things. And about 16 are using it in other ways. And I see somebody wrote 3 and 4. I think you can select multiple options. So that is really interesting to think about, how are your kids using it? And especially the number of kids that aren't yet using it. And I'll share, my daughter is actually has been extremely afraid of it because her school has said she'll get expelled if she uses it. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that. So great, thank you. Let's see. I share the screen. Let's see. Just get through that. All righty. So if we go back, let's see. Just going to get rid of this poll. So as we think about where we are and the opportunity for how kids can use this, Generation Glass is an important new vocabulary word I'd like you to leave today's session with. Generation Glass refers to the children who have grown up with digital screens integrated into their daily lives since infancy. Unlike previous generations who were introduced to technology over time, our current generation, and my daughter's in that mix as well, she was born in 2013 through to today, this generation has had touch screens, smart devices, and AI-driven experiences at their fingerprints, even though they are not AI native. And that's an important distinction. Even though they're not AI native, they are widely exposed to AI-powered technology. They are the first generation growing up in a world where AI isn't a futuristic concept. It's embedded in their daily experiences. From the virtual assistants to the algorithms, they actually interact with AI before they can even read. Yet this exposure doesn't mean that they fully understand it. It simply means it's part of their environment. And in fact, this generation will never know a world without intelligent automation. Unlike previous generations, whether it's how they learn, communicate, or make decisions, it's very different. And by the time they enter the workforce, even though they are not AI native, the next generation will be. AI will be fully embedded into every industry. And as we think about the school systems, we'll talk about this here in a moment, future generations will experience a very different school system than our current glass generation. And so this means the skills they're going to need to thrive will be vastly different than what we needed when we started our careers. And so as parents, our role is going to be to make sure that they are not just passive users of AI, they become active participants in facing and shaping its future. Now, this is a number that people see all the time. I want to put a slightly different spin on it. Everywhere we go, you will see kids on screens, whether it's at home, in restaurants, sitting in a shopping cart at Costco. Just the other day, I saw a 3-year-old completely absorbed in a phone while their mom shopped. And it made me think, what's being lost in this moment? If we were intentional about it, that same trip could have been an opportunity for conversation, curiosity, connection. We could be talking to our kids about the products on the shelves, teaching them about money, or even just having fun playing with a cart. I'm going to propose the thought process around it really starts with us and the importance of young humans hearing the human voice is essential to their own ability to advance in reading and in math. So when I think about this, it reminds me of something my vet once told me about my dachshund. I've had 7 dachshunds. This was one who really liked to eat. And he said to me, because she was starting to gain a little bit of weight, the vet looked at me and literally said, you do realize they don't open the can. It stuck with me because the same applies with kids and screen time. The issue isn't the device, it's how we as parents choose to guide their use of it. If we're using it with them at their earliest stages of their development, can we really blame that it's an integral part of their teenage years? Though the reality is, not all screen time is equal, and screen time is going to become more important when it follows the values in an intentional way. So while, kids spend an average of 7.5 hours daily on their screens, that's not even including schoolwork, that's passive consumption. The problem isn't technology itself, it's how we engage with it. So this means our role as parents isn't to eliminate screens. It's not even to have the arguments over it. It's really to shift how our kids interact with them. Instead of being passive consumption, how can we encourage creation, exploration, and problem solving? We've talked about how not all screen time is equal and how our kids engage with technology matters. The next step, though, really is let's dive a little bit deeper into family values because they're really at the center of the engagement. Because as AI becomes a bigger part of school, entertainment, and even everyday decision making, we need to ask, are we actively guiding our children or are we letting AI shape their values by default? Now, every family has its own unique values. And the principles that guide how we raise our kids, how we make decisions, what we prioritize in daily life, whether it's creativity, kindness, resilience, curiosity, or values influence, everything from how we discipline or how we encourage learning. Yet today, AI is embedded in so many aspects of our children's lives, from homework assistance to entertainment recommendations, and it's happening fast. The question is, and I want you to think about it for just a moment, are you being intentional about aligning AI use with your own family values? For example, some families might prioritize creativity, so they encourage their kids to use AI for digital art or storytelling, rather than just passive scrolling through Facebook or Instagram. Others may emphasize critical thinking, guiding their kids to question and verify AI-generated answers instead of accepting them at face value. The key is there's no single right answer. What matters in having the conversation as a family. Because when we don't, we risk letting AI algorithms, rather than our own parenting choices, set the tone for how our kids interact with technology. For any of you all have watched, ads follow you from device to device and from site to site. You know those algorithms are highly tuned, and it's important that we take the actions to align to our own values. So from that standpoint, I believe it's important that I believe this is so important that we created at Discovering AI a family AI values framework. It's designed to help guide these conversations, and it's available to you for free. Every family can access it. It's up on the screen. You can follow that link, and the framework makes it easy for you to identify what matters to your family and how AI can support those values rather than working against them. So I encourage you to download it. And if we want to be intentional, I believe it starts with the values question of how do we ensure our kids engage in AI in a way that benefits them? And this is where the entrepreneurial mindset makes all the difference. Because when children approach AI with curiosity, creativity, and confidence, they become far more than just users of technologies. They become the creators. And this is a core belief of mine and really underscores the reason for Discovering AI and where we are. The way our kids engage with AI will define their future opportunities. Are they clicking, scrolling, consuming, or are they thinking, building, and creating? I happen to serve on the board for the Girl Scouts of Northern California, and this has been an integral part of what we've tried to do to bring forward to young girls. An entrepreneurial mindset isn't just about starting a business. It's about curiosity, adaptability, and problem solving. It's about seeing AI as a tool for innovation rather than just passive entertainment. So think about it for a moment. The difference between a child who watches an AI-generated video for hours and one who uses it to compose music, design a game, or build a product idea. One is consuming, one is creating. And by the way, if you happen to have a child who loves to compose music or might find that interesting, I encourage you to check out code.org. They've got an AI algorithm product solution that really helps young people learn how to compose music. It's really exciting to see where some of the educational AI components are going. So when we think about this, the shift in mindset isn't just helpful. I really believe it's essential. And if I adapt a favorite Eleanor Roosevelt quote, this is because the future will belong to those who know how to leverage AI, not just use it. So in an entrepreneurial mindset, it's what sets creators apart from passive consumers. So how will our kids shape AI, or will AI shape them? As we've established, AI isn't coming. We're no longer in an AI winter. It's already here. It's in the tools our kids use for learning, entertainment, and even future careers. And while I think this is important to know, while not every child needs to or will become a coder or a tech entrepreneur, every child will need to understand how to engage with it effectively. The reality is AI is absolutely, and I noticed it in some of the comments, it is absolutely shaping industry jobs and the way we solve problems. Our kids will enter a workforce where AI is deeply embedded in everything, from medicine to marketing, finance to filmmaking. Just think back to the Hollywood strikes of just a couple years ago. AI was at the heart of that. So the question we as parents must ask ourselves is, will our children be passive, or will they learn to shape it, innovate with it, and use it to create opportunities? Keep in mind, this isn't about forcing kids into technology fields. Really want to underscore that, because oftentimes I get asked that question. It really is about how do we, together with our children, equip them with the confidence, the adaptability, the mindset to navigate an AI-driven world. So if our goal as parents is to help our kids shape the future and not just react to it, we really have to rethink what truly sets them apart in the age of AI. Because today, what used to be an advantage, simply knowing things, is no longer enough. Knowledge is a commodity. For generations, knowledge was power. The more you memorized, the more opportunities you had, degrees, certifications. These were all expertise elements that were gatekeepers to success, the paper ceiling for many. AI has changed that. Now, knowledge is everywhere. Anything our kids need to know is instantly accessible, whether through ChatGPT, YouTube, or AI-powered tutors. So if knowing things is no longer the differentiator, what is? If knowledge alone isn't the key to success, what about traditional education? For decades, getting a college degree was seen as the safest path to job security. So I want to ask you all a question, the next poll. Do you believe, I want to see where you all stand, do you believe a traditional college degree still guarantees job security today? Charlene, if you don't mind, we'll run that next poll.
You see it, Amy?
I do not yet see it. There we go. What I'm seeing is, okay, there we go. For some reason that came up. I've got it on my mobile this time. So we've got about 35% think it's still valuable. 50% think it's somewhat needed, but additional skills. And then we've got no skills and adaptability are more important. That's at about 15%. So let me share some more on this. Great, thank you all. We can go ahead and conclude that poll. The reality is the return on investment for college degrees is definitely changing. It's not as straightforward as it once was. You know, the cost of college is oftentimes leaving graduates with the six figures in student debt. While in the meantime, AI and automation are shifting jobs and markets, and employees and employers are increasingly valuing other skills. I, though, do want to be really clear. College still has value. It's going to need to change and adjust. And it's also going to always probably remain very important for certain career paths, probably medicine, law, engineering, others. Though we have to think about the financial risk is much higher than it was 20 years ago or even 10 years ago. And so this is why that entrepreneurial mindset is so important. It's about thinking beyond a single path to success. College may be one option, but kids also need that real world problem solving, that adaptability, that leadership skills. And I'll share with you why. The world is absolutely shifting away from what degree do you have to what skills and value can you bring. So if college is no longer the guaranteed launch pad it once was, the question is, where will the next generation gain real world experience? Because AI, rising labor costs, changing workforce structures, they're all redefining entry-level jobs. And that was one of the comments made in the quotes or in the comments. And it's even eliminating many. For decades, entry-level jobs were the stepping stones into the workforce. They taught responsibility, customer service, problem solving. We could delegate these learnings to the managers of fast food, retail, and front desk jobs. The positions were a rite of passage for many, including me. In fact, 1 in 8 Americans have worked at a McDonald's. These jobs were essential training grounds for learning workplace skills. Here's the shift. Many of these are disappearing. And the truth is, anything that can be automated will be automated. Walk into your McDonald's today and you'll likely see self-service counters, kiosks, and push towards mobile ordering through their app, rather than speaking with a cashier. This image has taken it even further. This is a fully automated McDonald's outside of Fort Worth, Texas. No front counters, no humans handing you your order. Customers place their orders digitally, and the food is served up via a conveyor belt. No human interaction required. And the reality is McDonald's is just one example. Though it's a clear sign of what's happening everywhere, the shift isn't just about efficiency. It's about replacing human labor with AI and robotics wherever possible. If you've ever been to a Uniqlo, you might have used their radio frequency identification readers. It's not like self-checkout at the grocery store where you got to scan your items. You literally just drop your items in a bin and up on the screen pops up how much you owe. These are the kind of shifts that will continue to redefine jobs, especially the ones that young people traditionally relied on to gain work experience. Putting it simply, if something is repetitive, predictable, or transactional, AI is going to do it faster, cheaper, and more accurately than a human. It's not a theory, it's absolutely happening. And it's not just at the entry level jobs, right? It's impacting white collar, it's transforming highly skilled jobs. You can take healthcare, finance, even the fields that we're seeing in terms of gamification and business strategy. So, how are our kids being prepared? This is a chart you might want to look at if you happen to watch it on replay, but it really talks about when I talk about the glass generation not being AI native, the school systems will make a shift and be ready to teach the future generations around AI and empower them to be ready. But as the parent of a 12-year-old, my daughter is going to miss that learning from a school system that will change in the future. And so that is why I really fundamentally launched Discovering AI. It is around helping parents realize that through the intentionality, we must engage today to drive forth what it means to help our children be ready, prepared, and thrive in what's going to be a super exciting next chapter in humanity, because AI is only limited by the creativity of what humans can ask it to do. So when we think about it, there are challenges, right? Only 23% of K through 12 schools have a formal AI strategy in place yet. In America, the education system is so significantly decentralized by local school boards, decisions are made at the local level. In other countries, it's made at a national level, and they have already implemented AI-related requirements for students and education. And with the reduction of any barriers to employment and digital and remote locations, it is why it's so important that we must help our children move forward, because it's not just about academic success anymore. And we have to be that intentional parent where we can actually help them. And I'll share, it's even impacting the Ivy Leagues. An MBA is no longer a guaranteed path to success. In 2022, only 10% of Harvard MBA grads were still looking for a job after 90 days. Last year, 2024, 23, highest in over a decade. This is why education itself, even from the top graduates from the most prestigious schools, are facing a different reality. And that's why we as parents can play such an important role. Executives have made it very clear. What they want to see is new sets of skills. The skills that they want to see are around team building, coaching, innovation, ways in which humans excel. When we think about how AI is transforming it, it's actually giving us the opportunity to do roles and have impact in ways that are no longer the mundane, repetitive needs that we once had to do. The greatest breakthroughs don't come from technology alone. They happen when humans think differently, change and challenge assumptions, and push beyond what exists today. It's really about developing that entrepreneurial mindset. So what does it really look like, in the real world to do that? Well, here's one that just came up. NVIDIA lost $600 billion in market capitalization because an entrepreneurial mindset said we can create AI differently. DeepSeek came out, and the projections were that they were able to do GPU pre-training with just $5.6 million. Now, there are questions about whether or not that fully accounted for the capital expenditure they really needed to accomplish it. But it sent NVIDIA stock tumbling by $600 billion. $600 billion in market cap in a single day. That is actually the power your kids, our kids now have when they embrace the entrepreneurial mindset. Because AI and technology, you no longer need thousands of people to start a company. You no longer need hundreds. Instagram sold for billions just with 100 plus million for just 14 people. And they say the next $100 million company will be formed with just a few people. But even if they're not forming a company, their ability to think differently, to work with others, and to leverage AI is going to be their path to success. So when we think about it, I really want to underscore that why entrepreneurial thinking is non-negotiable. The future is absolutely going to favor creators, problem solvers, and innovators. Entrepreneurial thinking builds career resilience because they're going to need to be adaptable. They're going to need to be able to create opportunities, create their own new opportunity as the world continues to change. And they're going to need to prepare for shaping an entrepreneurial mindset. So when we think about this, how do we actually embrace that? Well, we embrace it by recognizing there are 6 key traits that are associated with entrepreneurial mindset. And it is truly essential to focus on what those are. They're critical thinking, creative problem solving, emotional intelligence, adaptive leadership, and innovation mindset, along with strategic thinking. And I'm going to give you guys a guide here in a minute that's going to allow you to go deeper into what all these mean. So in this call, we're going to introduce the concepts, but I also wanted to give you some real world experience. Transforming everyday moments into learning opportunities. As parents, we have the opportunity every day to nurture entrepreneurial mindsets in our children. These moments don't have to be complicated. They can be as simple as encouraging curiosity, problem solving, and leadership. And over the next few slides, I'll share a personal case study, my daughter Maddie and her journey, because I want everyone on this call to believe that you can be this person. You can be along this journey with your own child or children, and you can take the intentional steps to build that confidence, the skills, and the resilience they need. And these case studies bring to life the frameworks we've discussed, showing how parents can help their children without forcing it, without needing a business plan, and without waiting for the perfect moment. Since birth, Maddie has been obsessed with books. One day we took the love of reading and turned it into a project, writing her own story. She dictated, I wrote. This wasn't just a fun activity, it was an early lesson in communications, creativity, and confidence. She learned that what mattered was that ideas matter and that they can be shared in a meaningful way. The best businesses often start from a personal passion. As I said, it was reading. So from that preschool, she migrated forward to doing what she already loved, and that was creating a book review site. From there, her next site was starting a lemonade stand. What do you know? Started from a book. Maddie did her first lemonade stand at the age of 4. And by 5, she wanted to do it with a friend. Teamwork, skills, learning how to work through it. She has no idea that those 6 traits of entrepreneurship are deeply enrooted in what she was actually doing. But you as a parent will know that. This wasn't just about lemonade. It was about learning to stand out, solve problems, and make customers feel valued. And their creativity was to make sure that they offered dog and cat treats. And guess what? That was a huge success. They also learned that AI won't replace human caring. And through their program, they donated money to Second Harvest Food Bank. Entrepreneurship teaches start to finish, something you don't see when you use AI. And this doesn't have to be all tech. It can be completely off tech, low tech. But entrepreneurship teaches that start to finish, that no task is too big or too small. Entrepreneurship also enables rewards, free succulents, donations appreciated, looking to buy a 3D printer. She got it. And entrepreneurship clearly provides progressions, starting from young, moving through to where recently she's continued to hire her classmates to help her with her businesses. Entrepreneurship is truly right at any age, from 4 to 34 to 74. So when we think about these skills needed to thrive in the age of AI, as your children progress through the entrepreneurship process, you'll start to see how these traits become more visible and more important. So the second case study is that of the Eco Pinecone business. Every step of this journey reinforces one or more of the 6 key entrepreneurial traits. For example, Maddie and her friend didn't have any money for raw materials. Rather than asking for money, the girls went out and brainstormed how they could source materials for free. And they collected pine cones in their neighborhood and used leftover paint from school projects. 3 of the traits. How to be resourceful to good and good for human. How to be resourceful and good to the earth, as well as how to learn how to market yourself. They created this video.
We have an eco pine cone business. any holiday ribbon you might not be using. If you let us know, we'll come by and pick it up. Thank you.
No idea is too big or too small. And as they're growing up, now that they're older, they're addressing the issues of a break-even point. They're learning about how to do customer feedback and market research. They're learning how to make products unique, recognizing that pine cones in alone just look ordinary. But if you bake them in your oven and hopefully don't catch your mom's house on fire, you can create an amazing glaze and look that is so different. You can also learn new skills, essential for lifelong learning in the age of AI. And here, a lady who responded to their video provided the learning moments and opportunities for them. They can also learn how to be creative with product design. With the new skills in hand, they can color and experiment. They learn how to relate to customers, going back to those skills that the CEOs said are so important in the age of AI. And they can also learn how to present themselves and their products in a way that takes them away from a digital screen and actually interacting with the general public. They get to the chance to continue to feel committed to making a difference in the world by recognizing the importance of donations to other organizations from their proceeds. And they also learn how to celebrate. Within these 6 traits of entrepreneurial mindset, entrepreneurship that you can teach are so essential. And it doesn't mean they have to become an entrepreneur to start their own company, but everything they're going to need to be able to apply and use to thrive in the age of AI from a workforce standpoint is rooted in these 6 entrepreneurial traits. So, what are the keys to kidpreneurship? Brainstorm solutions. Use holiday downtime. Recognize failure as one of the greatest teachers. Give kids room to make mistakes. Embrace technology and think entrepreneurially. And give them room to take risks. If you do so, you're going to open up doors and you're going to open up futures. So with that in mind, I've got 2 assets or 2 opportunities to just share with you to help you. The first is the Raising Entrepreneurs Parent Guide to Building an Entrepreneurial Mindset. And kids, this is our free gift to you. Absolutely want to encourage you to download it. It goes into much greater detail on the 6 traits and how you can engage with entrepreneurship today. And our book, Raising Entrepreneurs, Preparing Kids for Success in the Age of AI, it'll soon be out. And if you want to be the first to get early access to it and get some extra special perks, you can sign up to be the first one to be notified about it. So with that, Charlene, I want to turn it back over to you for some questions and thank everyone for the time today.
Well, thank you, Amy, for a really incredible presentation. You have given us a whole lot to think about. I remember when I started working at IBM after being an early childhood teacher, we were doing educational software in the very, very beginning, and we were so worried that computers were going to take over from teachers. That didn't happen. Do you think that we're at another inflection point like that now?
I absolutely think we're at a huge inflection point. It is fundamentally going to shift at a more rapid pace than what we saw. And that's why the adaptability and that entrepreneurial mindset is going to be so important. But AI is not going to take over everything associated with the world. Sam Altman said, even on the Oprah Winfrey show, when she just did a segment on it, what are we going to see in 5 or 10 years with AI? And he said, the only limits are going to be the limits to the human imagination. And so we need to be driving, we need to be the creators. And that's the critical juncture here. If we stay passive and we just consume, then we're going to lose a big part of humanity. Though if we make that shift to be the active creators of what the future will be and leverage technology and AI for that benefit, I think there's no limit to the possibilities of what we can do as a human race.
So, Amy, as a developmental educator, Bev and I really like that you showed that children are still children and that development where they're using their hands and their brains is still really important. In the age of AI, we can't forget that as parents, can we?
Not at all. AI will and devices will always be there. But as you saw in that one photo, do you want to see the children learning the facial expressions and how to relate with each other when that's some of the most important skill sets you're going to need in the workforce? Or do you want them glued to a screen where there is no two-way interaction or or connection with other humans? And so it's been a big part of why I actually chose to show offline. As I mentioned, my daughter had a book review site on YouTube, did really well, 5,000 viewers of it, but that's not the one I really want to focus on. It has been the offline entrepreneurial efforts where she has learned the most.
Yeah, really good point. And we know she's great at selling Girl Scout cookies too.
3,000 boxes. Yep, she does love that.
Okay, that's pretty good. I have a grandchild who's a toddler and she is so experiential and so physical. I just think that we love how you were saying to parents, it is important that we integrate AI, but what is the best way, Amy, or can you give us a suggestion for how to encourage parents to encourage kids transitioning from passive technology use to active creators in an AI-driven world? Is there a way for parents to help push that forward?
I think there is. And the way I would think about it is going back to connecting with your child about what they enjoy the most. So let's say you have a teenager and they just love music. You have a perfect opportunity to say, rather than just listening to it and watching all the videos, what if you actually try to compose something on your own? The AI tools you don't have to know how to read music nowadays to actually be able to compose music. You can use Scratch-based coding technology to create amazing songs. And you can challenge your child to say, what if you actually create a song that you end up putting on Spotify? Or you say to your child, what if you and a friend create a music video around your high school? You can encourage them to engage with technology in a different way. And guess what? I guarantee you, they're going to think it's a heck of a lot more fun than just sitting there consuming it.
All right. And listen, parents, there's some great questions coming in. Keep them posting. We'll get to as many as we can right now. So here we go, Amy.
Sure.
Parent asks, AI tools often collect sensitive family data, raising concerns. How, as a parent, do you navigate that while still allowing your kids to use technology?
Yeah. It is the chicken or the egg as it relates to we all enjoy free access to technology products like Facebook. Yet, how does Facebook actually pay for the ability to provide those services? I think the important step forward is the level of government guidance that is coming into play, and then also self-policing now out of a reaction to government engagement around allowing individual consumers to self-select out of cookies. You can now self-select out of whether or not you want the device or the item to track you, to use your information, to customize offers to you. And so it's really being vigilant. I have a tendency, I'll just sign up for a new app and I go really quickly. I'm like, oh, wait, I wanted to self-select out that I didn't want to receive all that information.
Yeah.
And so I think that is, the rate of change with technology is happening so fast. I think parents and children, when you talk about the AI values, the family values, you would talk about and establish up front. We do not want to select, marketing cookies. We want to make sure we self-select out of those. That family AI values framework can help you have that discussion and make a decision about how you're going to use it.
Okay, thank you. Good answer.
Yes.
All right, here's a great question. How do you suggest we help kids keep from developing feelings for AI? We have a friend who's in love with her AI.
So not only am I on the board for the Girl Scouts, I'm also a troop leader of 15 Girl Scouts as high as 18. And young people, they are hungry for close relationships of someone that can hear and understand them and can be supportive to them. And so I think, I'm going to keep coming back to the family AI values, and it's having that conversation of, it's helpful, just like we used to write in a diary and to feel that diary was connected to us. Well, now coaching apps and things work through AI, but to realize that that is still a one-way dialogue and discussion, and having the openness around what that means, that it's not actually a human, it is an algorithm and programming that is playing to the emotions you're sharing. And so you could talk about, like writing in a diary, how helpful that can be to express your feelings in a safe environment, yet by the same token, recognizing that perhaps we need to take more time as a family to go out to environments where we're interacting with people one-on-one. And maybe that's working at a food shelter or a food bank, or helping restore a redwood forest, to where you're interacting with people in a different environment that still care and have that human touch you're looking for.
Okay, thank you. Really good suggestions, Amy. All right, here is one more great one. Amy, she says, thanks for the presentation. How involved were you with your daughter's entrepreneurship journey with all the projects she did?
It's run the gamut, and it depends on the time frame. When she came to me and said she wanted to do, well, I'll back it up. For the lemonade stand, we were reading Maisie's lemonade stand book, and she said to me, "I want to do a lemonade stand." And I'm like, "Okay." And I'm always about purpose and strategy. I've been a CMO of Fortune 500. I kind of go business route. I'm like, "Okay, well, let's talk about purpose strategy. What do you want to do?" And even at the age of 4, I took it as a learning moment to talk through what that would mean and what we would do. And then I literally, if you saw it, I did not squeeze the lemons. I had a 4-year-old squeeze the lemons because guess what? I've done that before. It's not about what I can do. It's about girl led in the case of my household. What will my daughter do? She then came to me and said, she wanted to do this YouTube video. And I really wasn't on YouTube back at that time to a great extent. And so I said, I tell you what, if that's what you want to do for spring break, we're going to do an entrepreneurship camp. So literally when she was 5, we spent her spring break and we went through an entrepreneurship camp. We tested what was the product principles behind Silly String. I took her down to the Monterey Bay Aquarium to talk about what they do for marketing. We looked at books. And I said, only if after this that you actually want to still do this and you want to write it up, I'll help you. So in that case of the book side, I definitely helped her. But I put the onus on her first. Pat Summitt once had this great analogy when her son got cut from a basketball team. She said, if you wear out those 2 basketballs, I guarantee you'll make the team next year. But she said, I'm not going to start your engine. I'll help you, but I'm not going to start your engine. And I have a similar philosophy with my daughter. When she decided to do the succulent business, that was really her. I facilitated by putting a note on the school chat to say, does anyone have extra milk jugs? Please bring them to school, because she wasn't on a digital device. But she talked to her friends, hired her friends. They came over to the house. They played and ate probably more than they actually painted milk jugs, but it was their environment. They created it. There was no adult painting of those at all, which you probably even saw in the posters, right? Succulents ended up running out of room on the poster. That's okay. Don't make it perfect. Let them make mistakes. Let them learn. And today, while I help facilitate Girl Scout cookies in terms of she can reach out to my network, she's the one who does individual videos and reaches out individually to people. So, the reality is I've been there and I've done that. This isn't about me. This is about my child. And that's what I'd like to encourage the viewers today is to think about it. Let them take longer. Let them make mistakes. Let them experience it. Just sit back and smile and watch their growth journey.
Well, thank you, Amy. I think that is the perfect note to end on. And thank you, everybody, for being with us and so interested and great questions. We learned a lot today, Amy D. Love, about parenting in the age of AI. You've given us lots to think about. We appreciate those free resources. And everybody, the video will be available soon. You've got the resources here. Look at all those hearts. People were very grateful for your information. Thanks again, Amy. We'll have to do this again. Appreciate it. And thank you, everybody. Hope you'll stay on for 10 seconds and answer that survey. Lots of love for Valentine's Day, Amy.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Charlene. Thank you, Bev. And so excited about the Parent Venture and what you all do. Thanks for the opportunity to talk with your following.
Thank you. Take care, everybody. See you soon. Bye-bye.